Hello, good afternoon or good evening, whichever you prefer. It might be a glass half full, glass half empty situation. Welcome to another season of Rush Hour Concerts at St. James Cathedral. We have concerts here every Tuesday until the end of August, I believe. 12 concerts in total. My name's Robbie Ellis. I'll be hosting the pre-concert talks for these concerts. Every Tuesday at 5:15, you can turn up here to hear more about the music you're going to hear. And I'm joined by pianist Kuang-Hao Huang, no stranger to this concert series, no stranger to Classical Music Chicago, the umbrella organization. And Kuang-Hao, before we get underway, you've got a concert today. What else do you have on this summer that you're excited about?
Well, actually something that's going to be kind of different for me is that on the 21st of June, actually Make Music Chicago, I'll be playing with the Chicago Philharmonic with the Violent Femmes, which is a band that I grew up with, so I'm actually pretty excited about that. And then, of course, 2 days after that, I'll be playing some music of yours with Fourth Coast Ensemble.
Yeah, that's right. I have a sideline in radio and a sideline in hosting this and a sideline in writing comedic songs for classical singers who have better technique than me and pianists who have better technique than me. Nonetheless, I still end up playing piano on them sometimes. So the concert today, it's piano trio music. Kuang-Hao is playing piano. We also have Heather Wittels on violin and Paula Kosower on cello. We'll talk about the Brahms later on, but the first composer on the program she's French. Camille Pépin is her name, and born in 1990. Her bio says something that I think the translation is a little bit wonky from the French. At the crossroads of French Impressionism and the American repetitive music. American repetitive music is maybe how the Europeans view certain styles. But you've been rehearsing her music. We get to hear it in half an hour's time. How would you describe the music, and if you had to locate Camille Pépin in different styles, how would you?
I actually think that's a pretty good description. So the repetitive American music is the minimalism. So you can hear how there's a lot of repetitive rhythm, but it's also in minimalism, even though there's notes that keep recurring, they're sort of grouped in different ways to sort of imply different meters. So you can hear a section that one instrument sounds like it's playing in 4/4, while another instrument is playing in 3/4. And so you hear these sort of intricate layers. But on top of that, I think, this idea of French Impressionism, that she's very, very focused on color. So you'll hear a lot of the same musical ideas, but she keeps shifting how, the ranges of the instruments and who's playing which part. And also she does sort of fuss with the rhythm. So you'll hear something and then she'll just accidentally drop a 16th note or 2 16th notes the second time around. So it can be confusing for us, but very interesting for the listener.
One of those things where you have to really keep on top of where you are in the music, because this is very, very slightly different. But there are two composers on the program, and they both muck around with the meter. Johannes Brahms was known to do this, and I'm thinking of the first movement of his Piano Trio No. 2, which is the next piece that's on the program. It's officially in 3/4, but there are many, many bits where you find it quite hard to figure out where the downbeat is.
Yes, exactly. So Brahms is famous for the technical term is hemiola. So in this case, it's a triple meter piece, but there are sections that sound more like they're in duple meter, so more in 2/4 or perhaps 4/4, and sometimes both of them are happening at the same time. And another sort of variation of that idea is also in 3/4, if you have 6/8 notes, the emphasis is on the first, third, and the fifth. But at the same time, there might be something that sounds like it's in 6/8, which is also 6/8 notes, but there's emphasis on the first and the fourth. So, yeah.
The easiest way to illustrate this is I like to be in America. Okay, buy me in America. So it's always da 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 da. That's going between 6/8 and 3/4. So thank you, Leonard Bernstein, for making just an instantly easy way to explain that particular hemiola. He was, Brahms, when he wrote this, he was really, he gushed about it to his publisher. He had very, very high standards of his own music, and he wouldn't put anything out for public consumption that wasn't what he thought was tip-top. And he just like had some success with symphonies, but I listened to this in a lot of mid-period Brahms. Did he write anything soft and tender at all in his middle period? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of one.
So this piece is slightly after. I mean, he started composing it before, but finished it after he wrote the second piano concerto. So I do think that the slow movement of that has its tender moments. I mean, not like his late works, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. He likes his big, full textures, that's for sure.
Yeah, the big, full textures, and at this time, he was getting a lot more fame as a composer and less as a sort of dashing Franz Liszt-style piano prodigy with the great hair. This is about the time he grew out his giant beard as well. And Clara Schumann, good friend of his, was she described him at this time as Brahms plays piano more and more abominably. It is now nothing but bump, bang, and Scrabble. He used to be good, and then he started composing more and practicing less.
Maybe it's because he started writing music that was too hard. Because some of this middle period piano music is it's not actually comfortably written for the piano, so maybe that's part of it.
And speaking of that, come see Kuang-Hao play my music on June 23rd. This concert is in memory of Deborah Sobol. This is the 25th anniversary of the Rush Hour concerts, the 25th season, I should say. Deborah Sobol founded that. We do one concert a year in her memory. You will say a little bit about her at 5:45, but do you want to say something about her now as well? Expand on her legacy?
Yeah. So I wasn't involved in the very first season because I think the very first season was a little bit sort of thrown together, and I think it was just maybe not even a handful of concerts. But I was involved in the second season, which was also a handful of concerts. And I do remember it was because this church had acquired this instrument, and I remember playing four-hand Mozart with her to about 25 people. And it was amazing to watch it grow over the years. And you know, at that time, the things that she was trying with this particular concert series, different ways of reaching people who maybe weren't always classical music goers, was pretty innovative at the time. I think there are a lot of these practices have been adopted by various musicians, you know, speaking a lot, you know, before talking about pieces. You know, there used to be food served out before the concerts. Lots of thematic things where the food would match the music. You know, just a lot of fun experimental things that, you know, sometimes were maybe a little bit crazy, but always a lot of fun. And I love the fact that it made classical music feel fun. But beyond that, she really was, you know, a mentor to me in many, many ways, not just musically, but also personally. I remember when I had my kids, and she had just wonderful, wonderful advice for me, because she herself was a world-class pianist, and you know, understood the issues that I was dealing with at the time. So it's really hard for me to believe that it's been 10 years since she passed away, and it's hard not to think about her all the time still.
And you might not know this, but Kuang-Hao is also on the board of Chicago Youth Symphony Orchestras. So talking about young people in music education and things like that. And it's great to see you at those concerts as well. Just a couple of upcoming events from Classical Music Chicago before I finish up here. Tomorrow at 12:15, the Dame Myra Hess Memorial Concerts, which are held every Wednesday lunchtime at 17th Church of Christ Scientists, that way. It's a bit of an unusual one. Josh Jones, principal percussionist of the Grant Park Orchestra, is doing a solo marimba recital. Music by Alexander Scriabin, Evelyn Glennie, Claude Debussy, and more. So you can go see that for free, 12:15 at the 17th Church of Christ Scientists. It's also live on Classical WFMT. And next week's Rush Hour concert, there'll be 4 station wagons getting 4 parking tickets outside because the Chicago Harp Quartet has to come in and load. Gavin Greenaway's Suite for Harp Quartet. There's also music by Margaret Bonds, Aram Khachaturian, and lots more besides. Please join me in thanking Kuang-Hao Huang, and the concert's going to start at 5:45. Thank you. Sweet. Too many choices. Yeah. Welcome to another season of Rush Hour concerts at St. James Cathedral. Hello, I'm Robbie Ellis. Yes! This is our 25th season opener, also this year's Deborah Sobol Memorial Concert. Rush Hour concerts are made possible through the generosity of the Zell Family Foundation, the Irving Harris Foundation, the National Endowment for the Arts, the Illinois Arts Council Agency, and contributions from individual donors, many of whom are in this room. Rush Hour concerts are produced in partnership with St. James Cathedral, and today's concert is generously sponsored by Dr. Roland Chang, Norman Cynthia Goldring, and friends of Deborah Sobol. To perform the music of Camille Pépin and Johannes Brahms, please welcome Heather Wittels on violin, Paula Kosower on cello, and pianist Kuang-Hao Huang.
Who passed away 10 years ago. She is the reason we are all here today. She was the person who founded, for those of you who didn't know her, she founded this series 25 years ago. She was a very, very fine pianist herself, and I feel very privileged to be able to honor her with this program. I think it's a program that she would have liked. She was a big supporter of new music herself, and then for those of us who knew her, Brahms was one of her favorites, so I think she would have enjoyed this. So I hope you do too.